Welcome to RVCast. In June of 2024, we held the inaugural RV convention. And today, we're excited to revisit an episode from that enormously successful event. Get ready for insights, tips, and inspiring stories from our special guests. And enjoy this informative episode as we dive into the world of RVing. Hello and welcome back for another segment of the RV Convention. I'm your host, Dave Stanley, coming to you from the cab of the Stanley Streamer. And this episode features Patrick Buchanan, a rock star in the RV community with a wealth of experience and knowledge of all things RV. Patrick is RV Life's Director of Partnerships, an experienced RVer himself and key content contributor for several major RV Life blog sites. He also leads partnership and advertising initiatives with manufacturers, vendors, and content creators. Patrick is also the executive producer of the RV Life podcast and the Camper Report show based in Texas. Patrick is passionate about RV travel, having logged over 20,000 miles in his diesel motorhome with his wife and small herd of dachshunds. Welcome, Patrick. It's such a real honor to have you as a guest on this year's RV convention.
Hi, thanks, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here and a glowing introduction. I don't know that I own up to all of that, but I certainly will try.
Yeah, just for the audience, one thing, Patrick has been a true friend to a newcomer into the RV online presence world for me. And so I really tip my hat to Patrick, and a big thank you for everything that you've done to help introduce me to the RV community, Patrick. So it's a real honor to have you.
Well, thank you very much. It's very kind. And, we're all kind of in this together, whether it be life or the RV business. I think helping each other is the best course of action at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of RV business, tell us about how you got involved in the business, your career evolution and things like that.
It is, it is quite an unusual story in some regard. I spent the majority of my career as an IT professional in the trenches of every facet of IT you can imagine, programming, customer support, phone systems, you name it, build computers. It doesn't matter what it is. We did it all. I did it for a great number of years and got interested in RVing. The wife and I chose an RV trip to the Grand Canyon instead of a cruise one year, and we were hooked. We just thought we would try something different. And after renting that first year, we did it again the next year, and we did it again the next year. And along with that journey came to the realization that, man, figuring out how to go places and plan and where campgrounds are and how long to drive and all of these things is really hard. My epiphany moment is sort of the trip back from, really on that first journey, that trip back from Flagstaff to Amarillo, which in a rented Class A RV was about 9 hours. And that's with the north wind hammering down. So my hands are at 7 and 1 o'clock for 9 hours. And it was the biggest beat down. I thought, man, of course, Google said that 6 hours, right? Right. Yeah, 6 hours when you're in a Mercedes S500 going at 80 miles an hour. When you're in a Class A motorhome doing 62, it's another matter. So I learned a great lesson there, and I found a product online, and I landed on an RV community called irv2.com, and I was soaking up knowledge. I mean, there's so much to know as an RVer. Black tanks and wiring and 12 volts and 110 and ceiling leaks. And we could go on for an hour. And I wasn't an experienced RVer yet, so I couldn't really contribute to that area. But one place I could contribute was with my knowledge. And so I had acquired this piece of software and product to use to plan my trips. I understood it very well. I'm a software guy. I'm a professional. I'm using it. And people are having loads of questions about this. And I'm like, oh, it's so easy, just do. And I'm answering these things. I'm firing off answers. Every day was kind of, I'd get home from work and I'd sit down and answer questions for an hour because it was that soaking up and that knowledge and that camaraderie and community. And I was just digging it. And it turns out that the companies that owned the software was like, who is this guy and how do we get a hold of him? And of
Right.
course, it turns out that company was RV Life. And throughout the course of another 18 months or so, I transitioned from being a IT professional to being here on staff at RV Life. And from there, it's just been, and aside from that, I just had a real general interest in the industry. You know, it was such a new thing for me. I've always been a car guy and I've always understood technology, and I do all my own plumbing and electricity and all of these things, and it all just literally converges into this one big hobby we call RVing. And so that's what got me started.
Oh, very cool. So RV life, give us the big picture of that, because it's not just one thing, right?
It is
Yeah, yeah.
not, yeah. It is a multifaceted, sort of a three-headed animal, three-headed monster. I think monster has kind of negative connotations. It's sort of a three-headed something, a unicorn if you want. I don't know, but it is RV life is started is as, and it always will be a community. It's a way for RVers to come together and get the knowledge they need. Everything we do is focused around that community. The core of our heart of our business was forums like IRV2. And of course, this predates social media and all of that. IRV2 and air forums and Airstream classifieds and Forest River forums and Keystone and Crossroads. We got all kinds of these forums. And for those that maybe don't know what a forum is, again, it's pre-social media. You get in, you log in, you just hang out, you answer questions, you chat about what's going on. It is essentially a refined Facebook, right? If I look at it from that perspective, a refined and moderated and cultivated and curated, whereas Facebook's kind of just a shotgun of stuff that rolls away and it's gone. So that was kind of the core of our company for a long time. We then also got into having the locations of all campgrounds and facilities, and that means every brand, every flavor, campgrounds, private, RV resorts, public, state park, city park, local, national, all the bit came out of a site we have called RV Life Campgrounds. Folks that have been RVing a long time know that as campground reviews in the past, but it is RV Life Campgrounds, been around 20 years or so. And the culmination of all that knowledge and that data and that community led to us offering a way to plan RV trips through what started as RV Trip Wizard. And then we had this great planning tool. And well, how do we navigate this trip? And that's when we kind of went to the mobile front. And now you can navigate the trip that you planned. It's now Apple CarPlay compatible, soon to be Android Auto compatible. And it's just been a step forward of, okay, what do we need next? What do RVers need that we could provide? And that's kind of been the culture of the company.
Oh, very cool. So those three heads then are the RV life campgrounds.
Well, you know what? Sort of. I forgot one of the heads, and that is our blog.
Okay.
Our blog content. I know we're doing math here, and it's still early. It's maybe not early enough for me. It's always too early for math. The third component of that is our blog content. So we have 7 blog sites. You could call them digital magazines, right? I think the connotation of what is a blog is a little blurred, perhaps, to some of the audience, but I think of them as online magazines where every day or every week, perhaps, there is articles to read. And we have 7 of those. You know, the older, more famous ones are, of course, the RV Life. RV Life, back in many, many moons ago, was an old print magazine. Those RVers that have been around a long time will recall the very giant page format that it used to be in. It was like a giant, like a Look of back in the day, a Look magazine, a real big one. Right. But that, you know, paper kind of died out to some respects. We've seen it come back in more niche and refined forms, but we don't have a digital magazine, a paper magazine at this point. But RV Life is one of the original ones. Obviously, our Do-It-Yourself RV is one of our sites that's focused on do-it-yourself content, and then we have sort of a newsy arm, if you will, called the Camper Report. And it's from the Camper Report, which you sort of alluded to it in the intro. The Camper Report show is a YouTube show based on our Camper Report, and some of that industry newsy kind of a branch done by Bob Zagami and John DiPietro. They've been around forever. They're RV industry guys. They know everybody on the planet, and they talk about the RV industry. So that's been a lot of fun. We've added some other ones. Let's RV, Go RV, Let's RV, RV Living, Van Lifers, and Camper Smarts rounds out the 7 of those blog sites. So we kind of lump campground reviews, or what we call RV Life Campgrounds, doesn't necessarily, it actually crosses all 3 heads in some regard, because it is the data source for all of the campground data that we utilize on those 3 heads, the third being the SaaS product, the trip planner and the navigation. And so all that data is fed by campgrounds.
Wow. And is this available to anybody, any user out there?
It is for totally for free. If our customers or any RVers out there want to find campgrounds, there's 2 ways they can do it for absolute free. Is they can go to campgrounds.rvlife.com or search RV Life Campgrounds, I suppose, and they're going to go to the site, and it's completely free. They can find the campgrounds they want. As you dig into the reviews, you'll probably need to create a login and whatnot, and that lets you save favorites and do things like that. But there's absolutely no cost to that. If you want that same information on a mobile app, you can just go to the App Store, either Google or Apple, download the RV Life mobile app, and again, you get all those campgrounds. Again, no charge. Just sticking with the no charge for a half second, any campground owners, RV parks, campgrounds, resorts, any of those folks that want or don't already have a presence, most of them already have a presence there. Many of them don't know they have it. But for them to claim their park and update the pictures and all the information is completely free. So they can buy some extra advertising in there, but we're not, we just want to have all the good data. What customers would pay a little bit more for is if they want the trip planner, they want the RV safe navigation, they can pay a little extra. I mean, right now it's $65 a year. It's one good night's camping, and you got it covered. So that's kind of the core, and that and it gets you into, from that software perspective and the finding campgrounds and navigating. Obviously, signing up for all the forums is free. Using the campground site is free. Using the free version of the navigation of the campground finder tool, it's all free.
Oh man, I totally love that, Patrick, because it's like, well, here, I'm going to go over here to get this bit of information, or I'm going to go here to get some advice on this, or over here. And RV Life really is a one-stop wealth of knowledge of all things RV.
It really is, and that's really been our goal, is to provide every possible resource we can for the RVer. Interestingly enough, and I was thinking about this morning, is thinking about a lot of the development and initiatives and things that we have coming out for our product, particularly our trip planner and navigation. Those upgrades and those things we have coming are driven by our customer requests. We're not out to come up with something because the competition already did or anything like that. We're just driving. Our customers are driving our direction, and we're providing what they need.
Oh, that's fantastic. So if we step back and take the 50,000-foot view, what would you say is the number one passion of RV Life?
It's definitely the community. It's making sure people know what's out there. I mean, nothing kills us more sometimes. And I've done these big RV shows, the Tampa show, the Hershey show, and folks will come up and they'll ask a question, and you're like, oh my God, or they say they've been doing something a certain way, and I'm like, oh my God, and they are at times distraught about what they're doing, and they just don't know what to do. We'll get random emails. Hey, I've gone everywhere I can, and I just need an answer. I've got a 2017 Thor Acer, and I can't do this or that or the other thing. And we're like, we've got all these resources out there. So getting the resources out there, letting people know about them, getting people to take advantage of them is definitely the passion.
Oh man, that is so great, because that's really the theme of this year's convention is connection. And what you are doing is connecting us all together in this community of friends, really, that help each other.
Absolutely. We just to build on that just a tad, we fired up a podcast this year, just another way to reach people. We've fired up a rally team this year so that we can be in more of these rallies and things where the people really are, where the RVers are. We just want to be there.
That's fantastic. So let's shift gears a little bit, Patrick. And this question has to do with a lot of what RV life can help with. Let's give me your insight on what your biggest RV park pet peeve is.
Well, I'll give you mine. I've got two approaches to this. From a company standpoint, our biggest it's really not a pet peeve, it's a concern. It's almost a, dear Lord, why are you not doing this? Is parks that don't come to our site and claim their campground and update their pictures and respond to reviews. It's free, and they spend thousands of dollars going to campground conventions. They worry about Google and Yelp and things like that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't worry about them, but they are not campground tools, right? We are the number one campground tool out there. You should be worrying about us in a sense of get yourself logged in, claim your park, and start driving it, because everything from this site drives. So from a business standpoint, that's kind of a pet peeve, perhaps, is just not taking advantage of that. It's like anything. Somebody says, here's a free $100 bill to take to the grocery store. All you got to do is lift up this magnet and take it, right? I don't feel like it. Right? It's like, come on. My own pet peeve with RVs is it's very simple. With campgrounds is very simple. RV resort, you should have to file a 20-page document with 10 witnesses to call yourself a resort. Okay? Yes. Let me tell you, an RV resort, my criteria for an RV resort, and I've had this conversation with a lot of folks, and I will admit, most of this is driven perhaps from the Class A community and spending a lot of money on big coaches, and you call yourself a resort. Well, let me tell you, if you're an RV resort, the only gravel you should have would be in your voice. Okay, I don't want to see gravel on your RV resort. And the funniest part about it is, for the most part, I've excluded myself out of the resort lifestyle because I've got too darn many dogs and I can't get into most of them with that, and I don't blame them for that at all. Trust me. Right. But if I have a resort, I want clean pavement and concrete slabs and nice grass and trees and all the junk you're supposed to have. But I'll share really quick, a very embarrassing. So there's a real nice RV resort called, I forgot what it's called, Wolf's. Maybe it'll come to me. It's in Pagosa Springs, but it's a high end. You pull your big Class A in, and you back into these gorgeous sites with pagodas, and there's little streams and manicured lawns and concrete. This place is gorgeous. We're driving up to that. I've got a big, beautiful Class A, and I'm feeling pretty smug about myself. And I thought, you know what? I could save 20 minutes going down this road. Well, this road, oddly, laughing about gravel, this was a gravel road. After 5 miles of gravel road, it looked like I just pulled my RV off the set of Breaking Bad, and I pull into this resort, this gorgeous resort, and they're like, we know a guy we can call to wash your bus if you want. I'm like, yeah, I'm just hanging my head in total shame. But yeah, that would be my pet peeve for resorts, is if you're going to call yourself a resort, by God, you better be a resort.
Right. Well, and going back to the why don't campgrounds update their listing with RV life, it just made me think of my brother, who has a great high school picture. He had really wiry hair, and so the night before school pictures, he put a stocking, one of my mom's nylons, over his head to mat his hair down. And this was back in the early 70s when long hair was the deal. Right. And then showed up to his high school class pictures with a big white head right here on his chin, and his hair in some kind of funky, weird, twisted mode. And then if he had used that photo to put himself out there on like dating sites or anything like that, I'm sorry, but that's a non-stopper right there. That's and hilarious. I would assume that a lot of campgrounds are still using photographs that just don't do their site justice, and descriptions as well.
Yeah, they don't. And bear in mind that they don't have to know about it. In other words, if we have an RVer that goes to a campground and wants to leave a review, again, 99.9% of the time that campground's already there. But if it's not, they can say, "Hey, you guys don't have an RV park, so we'll add it," and they'll get their
Yeah.
review, and that'll be the park's entire representation. Now the nice thing about it is we've, unlike Google and unlike Yelp, we validate their stay. In other words, we have to know from the language and the pictures and things they've used that they've stayed there, and it has to be an honest review. It can't be, well,
Right.
the owner was mean to me one day, so I give it 1 star. It's like, no, it doesn't
Right.
work in this world. And so we've actually, and campgrounds have the ability to actually contest a review in a sense of, hey, this person said my pool is dirty. We don't have a pool. So right there, that's a problem. That review will get pulled. But if the review's honest, the best thing a campground owner can do, number one, is take ownership of it, get those good pictures up there, and then say, hey, Bob S., I'm sorry you guys had a bad experience. I just want you to know we're the new owners. We've taken over this property. We've updated that, and we'd sure love to have you come back. And say something nice like that,
Yeah.
and then just do your job, get some great reviews, and that 1 3-star review is easily overcome by 2 or 3 5-star reviews, and you're back on track. So
Yeah.
we certainly
Yeah.
encourage. We've got a person now that manages all those campground, director of campground success, and she does a wonderful job, and we're there for you.
Yeah, that's great, because as I look at reviews, I'm not necessarily focused on the review, but how the owners respond to a review.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a huge part of it.
Fantastic. So, of all of the resources that RV life has to offer, what would you say is the most overlooked or underutilized resource that RV life provides?
I wouldn't say it's underutilized, because at any given moment we have 5 or 10,000 people on this site. I looked it up earlier. I was on a call with a guy, and we had 7,000 people on this website at that moment, and this was at 9 o'clock on an early March day. But our site irv2.com is where people end up 2 ways. They end up, if they Google anything about any RV and any problem, they end up on irv2.com. And the name is just what it sounds like, IRV2, with the number 2, right? IRV2.
Right.
But you will end up on that site because that's where the knowledge is. We also see folks get there, they start on what's comfortable. So they're on Facebook, right? And particularly if we look at generationally and folks our age, and they're on Facebook, right? And
Right.
they start to ask questions. And instead of getting technical answers like, does anybody know, where I can find a new anode rod for a Suburban heater? And you would hope, first of all, somebody's going to tell you, yeah, dude, just Google it, okay? But second of
Right.
all, you would hope somebody'd say, hey, I found good ones that are at the United RV on 121 in Fort Worth. Okay, there's a good answer. But on Facebook and things like that, you get answers like, ours is gas, or ours is tankless, or it's like, well, how does that help me? Or
Right.
I've never liked that kind of heater. And it's like, and so it doesn't take long. And then, of course, when you do see that good answer, you're at work, you're doing something, you saw it on your phone at the, waiting room somewhere, and now you get home, you get back to Facebook, and no chance of ever finding it again, right?
Right.
And so that's, though we see that, and that stuff drives people to better solutions and more consistent, moderated, proper solutions. And IRV2 fits the bill all the way across the board there. And it is just an amazing resource that I would say people don't find until they have an issue. I mean, we'll look at myself. I didn't find IRV2 until I had a problem, or until I had a need. Certainly when I started to
Right.
rent, I started looking for some things. But when I had a real problem, that's where I ended up, and that's where I stayed. So that would be my thing. Although that sort of does dovetail into one thing in the sense that if you're going to take a $50 to $500,000 vehicle out on the road, you should do some planning and maybe some research, right? And that involves understanding where to get fuel and how I can get in there and all the little nuance that goes onto that. And I could probably talk an hour about fuel anxiety and what I see every day, but just the fact that there's tools out there and we have them if you'll just hunt for them.
Very cool. So one of the wonderful things about RV life is that you have grown and changed according to what the RV audience is wanting. So with that in mind, give us an idea of some of the things of where RV life is headed in the future.
Yeah, we've got some interesting things. So when we first started, and certainly when I first started, which is 5 years ago here next month, April 1st, everything was still very much the vernacular of you have a program, which is on a computer, and you have an app, which is on your phone. There really wasn't any confusion about that in the industry or in the world, really, right? And then as we've gone farther and farther, and we've seen the changes in Microsoft, we've seen the changes in mobile, and now an app can mean darn near anything. And so, and then we've seen people, it was almost a given that people were going to do things on a laptop, and then the phone was kind of the emergency backup, right? It's like, well, it's not fun to surf for this on my phone, but I can do it if I have to. Now it's completely the opposite. People will almost always use their phone first. And so one of the big things, and obviously we've heard that, we've seen the transition through the years. And so one of the big exciting things that we're working on is bringing a lot of the Trip Wizard features that you had to do on like a laptop or a tablet and bring that into the mobile app. So whereas right now the mobile app is primarily just for the navigation component, it's going to be, and we're already got pieces coming. It's going to be easier to create or edit trips in the mobile app as well. And so that's a huge change. It's way more complicated than people realize or understand. When you're writing stuff in programming languages for a browser, and then writing it for a mobile app, you can't be just a simple web view. There's a whole lot more involved in actually creating that. So that's coming, and kind of dovetailing onto that, another component, folks. We had so much response, such a great response to people jumping into this tool, into this platform. And it was like, hey, I use this for my entire trip now. What can I do about my day trip over to Disney? It's like, how do I put that in? Like, well, you could kind of add it in with 0 nights and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of there, you're like, yeah, but then it messes up my mileage, it messes up my days. And it's just not quite, they want even more. And so we've got day trips coming now into this tool so people can add those types of things in as day trips. And that will be soon. I purposely try not to memorize release dates because then I accidentally say them and then it gets delayed or something. So I don't really know. It's coming soon though. We've seen the pictures and all that. In the programming world, soon can be 3 weeks or 3 months, but needless to say, having those day trips in there it's a big feature folks have been wanting, and really just maturing the trip planning and mobile and navigation piece further is the kind of the part folks will see. Behind the scenes, it's all about streamlining, automating, making things easier, better, faster, that type of thing.
Well, that's so great. So, man, what a wealth of resource from RV Life. And tell us, for listeners that are attending the RV conference here, are there any promotions that RV Life is offering?
We are. We're going to do, and you got to remember this product that we've spoken so highly about. You'd think it would be $50 a month or $300 a year or whatever. It's $65 a year, right? And so it's really cheap. We're going to do our typical discount for this type of thing is 25% off. It makes it very affordable. It's just a nice, hey, I got something. We're going to do a very short term, and we can't leave these things out running forever. The internet will eat them up, and there'll be bogus coupon code sites and things like that running around. So we're gonna do a 40% off for anybody, any of the RV convention viewers that want RV Life Pro. And so just to be clear, RV Life Pro includes the RV Life Trip Wizard, which is the planning tool. It is the RV Life app, the mobile navigation with RV Safe navigation. Of course, it reads your trips, all that. We've got a master class component in there. So new RVers, we've got a nice class that we worked with Tom and Cherie from enjoythejourney.life, created a nice starting video educational package. All of that stuff, $65 a year. We're going to do 40% off. But that's only going to run for maybe 30 days or so. And you'll have to take advantage of it while strike while the iron's hot, I suppose. And then we'll shut that coupon down to kind of preserve your exclusivity and maybe not let that thing run rampant on the internet.
Wow, thank you, Patrick. That's huge for this audience. And so please refer to the show notes, and we'll have all of the links to everything RV Life, everything that we've discussed today, and then also links to the various podcasts and things that are run through RV Life. This really is a wealth of information that every RVer out there should be tapping into. Goodness. Thank you, Patrick, for sharing your story and for your dedication to all things RV. And a huge thank you to the generous discount on RV Life Pro. Stay tuned for more insights, stories, and tips as we continue our convention lineup. Until then, we'll see you on the road. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of RVcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our latest adventures on the road.
And don't forget, if you're itching to explore unique and interesting RV destinations, be sure to download the Curb and Turf app.
That's right, Curb and Turf, it's your go-to for finding those hidden gems off the beaten path. And hey, if you own property and you want to share your slice of paradise with fellow travelers, why not become a host yourself?
Absolutely. Just head over to curbandturf.com/start hosting to get started, or reach out to us for more information.
Yeah, and you don't want to miss a future episode, so be sure to subscribe to RVcast so that you never miss a beat.
Until next time, happy trails and safe travels.
We'll see you on the road.